I'm pretty sure my ex was a narcissist, and now I can finally be myself and happy. For some context, we had been together for 5 years. I moved into my own apartment after a few months of seeing each other because I wanted my own place she could come over to, and, as much as I love my dad, I needed my own real space. I was 20. About 2 years later, I felt like I was stuck and I felt burnout working at my retail job after the height of COVID and needed some new direction. I talked to an Army National Guard recruiter, talked to my girlfriend at the time, and made the decision to enlist. I knew it would be hard for us, but I felt like we could get through it. She moves into my place, and I leave for basic shortly after. 9 months later after my training, I come home. A couple months after that, my landlord tells me about a car she didn't recognize in the driveway. I confront my girlfriend about it, and she has the look of fear that she was caught and never intended to be, as she never once brought it up he'd been there, and he'd been there multiple times. She told me he was just a friend, and nothing happened. This was a guy she called her new best friend, while I was in Georgia, and would constantly bring him up in conversations. After a previous relationship that was toxic and gave me terrible trust issues, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt as she'd never lived on her own before and I was away with limited communication for a few months, and he took advantage of her loneliness and emotional needs and nothing happened. A few months after this, I find out I'm getting deployed to the Middle East the following year in April of 2023. Because of this, it became the forefront thought beside everything else. During my deployment, I always had a nagging feeling that she was doing the same thing as before, seeing another guy. There'd be times where we had 2 days where we could spend time with each other, and she knew. I'd ask if she wanted to talk or watch something together, and there'd be an excuse too often like she's seeing family. I come home, February of this year, and spend 3 months at home after spending time in Kuwait and Syria. I had to clean up my apartment for almost 3 weeks because of how much stuff was on the floors and nothing was cleaned while I was gone. It was terrible. I'd ask her to do small things like pick up her clothes off the floor, or put away her laundry, take turns doing dishes, things like that. And she just wouldn't until the 4th or 5th time of asking. I couldn't let go of the fact that she invited someone else into my apartment while I was away. Mind you, she wasn't paying rent the entire time I was gone for training, and barely gave me anything for rent while I was on deployment. She always complained she was broke, and I attempted many times to help her with finances. I made the stupid mistake of co-signing for a truck before I left for deployment, and it's something that I've recently asked for nicely and many times for her to do, even before we split 3 months ago. During those 3 months, she found a new guy a month after, invited him to hang out with all my friends and tried to pass it off as nothing and he's just a friend. In the beginning after the split, I wanted to stay friends and it seemed like we could, but after asking about the truck, she'd outright ignore me. When I'd see her at a friend's place during UFC nights, she wouldn't even look at me or say anything to me. I then talked to my friends, telling them if they wished to continue to be around her and accept the kind of behavior and person she is, then I wouldn't be around anymore. I would respect their decision, and all I asked was they would respect mine as I had to do what was best for me. I was sick of hearing about her and finding out new info that would bring back up more SHD. She had moved in with someone she knew from high school, who is a known cheater and all-around piece of SHD that she defends and has even said he only cheats because cheats too. Today, she sent me the following message and immediately blocked me so I couldn't reply. I had already removed and blocked her on all other social media. Listen, I've been respectful. I've been peaceful but am done. If you want to act immature and turn people against me, that's fine. Stay out of my life. If you see me in public, turn the other direction. I want nothing to do with you. I've left the Discord. I have done nothing wrong against you, excusing the time I was intoxicated and lost control over my emotions. It is not my problem you refuse acknowledge that I wanted to stay friends with you. The truck will be refinanced soon, and my mother will let you know when it's done. I'm happy now. Ryan introduced me to someone who makes me happy and feel loved. Everything that has happened is just helping sort out people who are not deserving of my friendship, time, or efforts. It initially made me angry, but rereading it makes me laugh as one of the things she said when we broke up was, I was the best thing that ever happened to her, and she f'd it up and never should have talked to that guy. Yet here we are, and she's moved on after 5 years like it was nothing. Because to her, it was. As my therapist put it, I was always option B. I'd always be there. I'm getting a dog in 2 weeks, a beautiful Australian Shepherd I'm naming Dahlia. I still have my friends, and I'm on my way to get my associates in criminal justice by December so I can work for the state police. I now know what to look out for red flags. I know what I need in a relationship and the boundaries I need to set for myself. All I have to say to her now, even though there's a lot I'd like to say, is thank you. Now to the next story, Story 2. I feel confused after achieving my dream of traveling around the world. I am from the UK. I am 23 and moved to Spain as soon as I graduated. I always wanted to do a year in Spain and another in Japan after university to practice my language skills and travel in my free time. I studied Spanish and Japanese for my degree. I was in Spain from September 2023 to June 2024. At home until August, and I have been in Japan ever since. My aim in coming here was to teach English, to see if I want to be a teacher in the UK and get a teaching degree, learn more of the language, meet friends, and try to travel as much as I can. I did the same for Spain and was excited to have the chance to do in Japan. I had a really nice time in Spain, especially as I lived in the capital, Madrid, and was able to speak a lot of Spanish, meet friends, and travel cheaply. However, I have been in Japan for a month and I am not enjoying it as much. The company I am working for is more organized and I have my own apartment. I shared before and didn't like it. But other than that, there aren't many positive things about where I am staying. I am in the countryside and about an hour from Tokyo. The place I am working at is okay. I got placed in a school as a teacher. However, most students do not speak English well, and the teachers are in the same position. I am not allowed to speak Japanese with them. It is quite hard to meet people here, especially as everyone I have met on language exchange apps are quite shy and don't respond very much. There also isn't too much to do in my town, other than traveling to the next towns over to find stuff to do. All of my friends live either in Tokyo or Osaka, and it will become expensive to travel there a lot. I signed for Japanese lessons, so I hope I can at least improve. I have followed my dreams and done exactly what I always wanted to do. However, now I regret leaving Spain. I was excited to come to Japan and was looking forward to it all year, but now that I am here, I feel deflated and flat. I am thinking of perhaps having some time at home when I go back in March, or quitting my job in December to go home early, and then either getting a master in the UK or Spain. I am also thinking whether it would be better to return to my old company in Spain and work for a year, and do a remote/in-person master, before transferring to a proper job and visa. I was with a student visa before. I think I was to move there again. It would be for a longer period. I don't want to keep moving anymore. I just want to be happy. I feel disappointed in myself that I am not enjoying it as much, especially as it was my decision to leave and start my life again. I left a nice and easy job with good people for something that feels stressful and makes me anxious. I really want to improve my Japanese and travel. I don't think getting a job here was the answer though. I love Japan and like it here, but I think being here for this long, 7 months, in the town I am in wasn't the answer either. Perhaps it would be different if I was in Tokyo. I was there for a STUT program 2 years ago. I actually studied in Barcelona before studying in Japan the first time. However, I was homesick then too. I thought it was because of missing my routine, family, and now ex-girlfriend. I now realize maybe I just don't like living in Japan. I was excited to give it another shot and properly enjoy it without missing the UK or Spain. Only now history is repeating itself. I said when I was before in Japan that I would like to live in Spain and try and return to Japan for trips frequently, after being inspired by my university professor who does the same. Pretty cool to return 35 times and come back whenever you like. I thought maybe I was just being salty or silly, but 2 years on, I feel the same way again. I am sad that I am back to this way of thinking.